Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that everything you thought you knew about life was a lie, that the chaos you've been running from isn't outside you, it's inside you. The world doesn't owe you clarity, the world doesn't owe you comfort, and yet within that chaos lies a single truth so powerful, so transformative, that if you embrace it, it can reshape your destiny. Today, we are going to confront that truth. Most people go through life avoiding reality. They build walls of distraction, comfort, and denial, convincing themselves that things are fine when deep down they are not. They tell themselves stories that soften the edges of life, stories that allow them to sleep at night, even when their inner world is in turmoil. But the price of that avoidance is high. The moment you stop confronting reality, chaos begins to creep into every corner of your life. You feel it as anxiety, dissatisfaction, resentment, or a gnawing sense of emptiness. It's subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but it grows, and before long, it dominates your experience. People lie to themselves in countless ways. I'm happy. When they are not, I'm capable. When they procrastinate and avoid responsibility, I'm making progress. When they are trapped in patterns that lead nowhere. These lies are seductive because they feel safe, but safety without truth is an illusion. It is a cage disguised as a sanctuary. Facing reality is not about embracing despair or cruelty. It is about clarity. It is about seeing life as it is, not as you wish it to be. When you stop lying to yourself, you begin to understand where you truly stand, what you are truly capable of, and what you must change to live a life of meaning. Confronting reality forces you to look at your habits, your fears, and your shortcomings without flinching. It is uncomfortable, yes, because it shines a light into the shadows of your mind where denial hides. But discomfort is the price of growth. Those who refuse to confront reality may survive, but they will never thrive. They will move through life reacting rather than creating, drifting rather than steering. The world itself is indifferent. It does not adjust to your illusions. It does not slow down or soften the blows because you are unprepared. Life will present challenges regardless of your comfort level. The sooner you face this truth, the sooner you reclaim agency over your existence. You cannot control everything, but you can control how you respond. Accepting reality gives you that power. It gives you the capacity to see clearly, act decisively, and make choices that align with who you truly are rather than who you pretend to be. The process begins with honesty. Ask yourself difficult questions. Examine your motives, your actions, and the consequences of your choices. Stop rationalizing failure. Stop blaming circumstances. Stop pretending that everything is under control when it is not. This act of facing reality is a form of courage. A courage that is not loud or celebrated, but is quietly transformative. It lays the foundation for all other forms of growth. For without truth, no progress is possible. When you start to see life clearly, with all its challenges and opportunities, you awaken to a power that has always been within you, the power to confront, to adapt, and ultimately to change your life. Taking responsibility for your own life is one of the most difficult truths to embrace, yet it is also the most liberating. Most people live in a state of quiet resignation, blaming circumstances, luck, or other people for the difficulties they face. They complain about the world, about their upbringing, about the opportunities they were denied, but rarely do they stop to recognize that true freedom begins the moment you stop pointing fingers. Responsibility is not about guilt or punishment. It is about ownership. It is about recognizing that your life is the sum of your choices, and that even in the face of adversity, you have the capacity to decide how to respond. This understanding is profoundly empowering because it shifts you from being a passive observer of your life to being its active architect. Every action you take, no matter how small, has consequences. When you embrace responsibility, you stop waiting for external validation, permission, or ideal conditions. You stop expecting life to be fair. You accept that suffering is inevitable and that growth comes from how you navigate it. People often mistake comfort, for success, believing that avoiding difficulty is the key to happiness. In reality, avoiding responsibility leads to stagnation, frustration, and a deep sense of unfulfillment. It is through the conscious assumption of responsibility that character is built, resilience is developed, and purpose is discovered. Responsibility demands courage. It requires looking at your mistakes without flinching and recognizing where you have fallen short. It requires acknowledging that you may not have all the answers, that you will fail at times, and that life will challenge you relentlessly. But within that challenge lies opportunity. When you take responsibility, you reclaim agency over your life. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You are no longer trapped in the illusion that someone else can save you. Every choice you make becomes a deliberate act, a step toward becoming the person you are capable of being. Taking responsibility also extends beyond yourself. It affects your relationships, your work, and your contribution to the world. By holding yourself accountable, you create trust and respect. You inspire others not by words alone, but by demonstrating that it is possible to confront life head on with integrity and determination. This principle applies universally, whether you are managing a project, raising a family, or striving toward personal goals. The willingness to accept responsibility is the foundation of meaningful achievement. Ultimately, embracing responsibility is a form of empowerment. It transforms life from something that happens to you into something you shape. It frees you from the victim mindset and places the control where it belongs, firmly in your hands. No one else can live your life for you. No one else can navigate your struggles or fulfill your potential. The moment you take responsibility, you step into your true power, and the world, with all its unpredictability and chaos, becomes a landscape in which you can act with purpose and courage. Transformation does not happen in giant leaps. It happens in the small, often invisible steps we take every day. Most people look for dramatic breakthroughs, sudden moments of revelation, or instant success, and when life doesn't deliver, they feel defeated. But this is a misunderstanding of how change works. Real growth is cumulative. It is built on a foundation of tiny, consistent actions that over time compound into profound transformation. Standing up straight, speaking the truth, cleaning your room, completing the tasks you procrastinate. These are not insignificant. Each of these acts carries weight, because each is a choice to confront chaos, to impose order on your life, and to assert that you are willing to meet the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. The power of small steps lies in their simplicity. They are achievable, tangible, and repeatable. They do not require heroic effort, just a commitment to do what is right, even when it is difficult or inconvenient. When you focus on small, meaningful actions, you build competence and confidence. You prove to yourself that you are capable of discipline, that you can resist temptation, and that you can endure discomfort in pursuit of something larger. Each small success is a signal to your mind and your spirit that you are not helpless, that you are not at the mercy of circumstance, but that you have agency over your life. Yet most people underestimate these steps because they are invisible to the outside world. They believe that unless an action is recognized, rewarded, or praised, it is insignificant. This is a grave error. True transformation happens in private, in the moments when no one is watching, in the daily decisions that define your character. By attending to these small steps, you gradually align yourself with your potential. You cultivate habits that shape your identity, not just your behavior. Eventually, the cumulative effect of these tiny acts produces a life that commands respect from yourself and from others. There is also a profound psychological truth in this process. Humans are wired to respond to progress, no matter how incremental. Each completed task, each small victory releases a sense of accomplishment and strengthens your willpower. It teaches your mind that discipline is rewarding, that effort is meaningful, and that chaos can be managed through deliberate action. In this way, small steps are not trivial. They are the very mechanism by which you become resilient, purposeful, and capable of facing life's challenges with courage. Ultimately, the power of small steps is in their cumulative nature. Life is not about dramatic gestures or fleeting inspiration. It is about persistent, thoughtful action. Each choice to do what is necessary, each decision to take responsibility for the little things creates a chain reaction that shapes your destiny. Stand up straight, speak the truth, face your fears, attend to your responsibilities. In the ordinary, repeated acts of courage and discipline, your extraordinary life is quietly forged. Life is inherently chaotic. There is no escaping it. From the moment we are born, we are thrust into a world of uncertainty, unpredictability, and inevitable suffering. People spend most of their lives trying to avoid chaos, building routines, distractions, and illusions of safety, hoping that if they keep the noise at bay, life will finally become predictable. But the truth is, that chaos is not something to be avoided, it is something to be confronted. The world will always challenge you, testing your limits, confronting your weaknesses, and forcing you to confront your fears. The question is not whether chaos will appear. It is whether you will meet it with courage, clarity, and purpose, or allow it to dominate and define you. Confronting the chaos within requires radical honesty with yourself. It requires acknowledging your fears, your weaknesses, and the parts of your life you have neglected or denied. It is uncomfortable because it strips away the protective illusions you have built over the years, exposing the raw reality of your circumstances. But this exposure is not a punishment, it is an opportunity. Chaos carries within it the seeds of growth. When you face it directly, you learn to navigate uncertainty with resilience. You learn to adapt, to plan, to act decisively even when the path is unclear. You discover strengths you didn't know you had, and capabilities you had ignored because comfort and avoidance had dulled your awareness. People often mistake chaos for something external, a problem in a relationship, a setback at work, or a sudden failure. In reality, much of the chaos we experience is internal. It arises from our lack of discipline, unresolved emotions, and avoidance of responsibility. By confronting the chaos inside ourselves, by taking ownership of our fears and shortcomings, we transform it into a force for mastery rather than destruction. We learn that life's turbulence is not a curse. It is the arena in which our character is forged. Facing chaos also demands action. Reflection alone is insufficient. You cannot simply analyze your fears and expect transformation to occur. You must engage with them, take deliberate steps to order your environment, set goals that challenge you, and take responsibility for the consequences of your choices. Each act of courage against the chaos, no matter how small, strengthens your ability to endure and thrive. Gradually, what at once seemed insurmountable becomes manageable, and the storm that once threatened to destroy you becomes a catalyst for growth, wisdom, and strength. Ultimately, confronting chaos is not a one-time act. It is a lifelong practice. Life will continue to test you, but with each challenge, you build resilience, clarity, and purpose. By stepping into the chaos rather than fleeing from it, you reclaim control over your life. You transform fear into courage, confusion into understanding, and uncertainty into opportunity. In the end, the chaos of life is not your enemy. It is your teacher, your proving ground, and the place where meaning is discovered. Most people spend their lives chasing comfort, seeking fleeting pleasures, and avoiding pain. They measure success by how easy life feels, by the absence of difficulty, or by the avoidance of conflict. But the truth is that comfort is not the path to a meaningful life. Pleasure is temporary, happiness is fragile, and avoiding struggle leaves you shallow, untested, and ultimately unfulfilled. Meaning, on the other hand, is enduring. Meaning gives life structure, direction, and a purpose that transcends circumstance. It is not found in convenience or indulgence. It is found in responsibility, in challenge, and in the willingness to confront what others shy away from. Seeking meaning requires courage. It requires stepping out of the shallow waters of immediate gratification and diving into the deep, often uncomfortable waters of personal growth. Meaning is discovered when you face challenges that stretch your mind and spirit, when you pursue goals that demand effort, discipline, and sacrifice. It is found in confronting fear, enduring hardship, and rising to meet the demands of life rather than shrinking from them. The person who seeks only comfort may avoid suffering, but they also avoid transformation. They remain small in a world that calls for greatness, quiet in a world that rewards courage, and unfulfilled in a life that offers boundless potential. Meaning is also about contribution. It is about taking responsibility for something larger than yourself, whether that be your family, your community, your work, or your ideals. When you dedicate yourself to a purpose beyond immediate gratification, your actions gain weight, your choices gain direction, and your existence gains significance. You discover that life is not simply a series of random events. It is a canvas on which you can act with intention, courage, and vision. In seeking meaning, you confront the chaos of life and assert your presence in the world, shaping it, influencing it, and leaving a legacy that endures. It is important to recognize that seeking meaning is not easy. It often requires confronting uncomfortable truths about yourself, taking on responsibilities that feel overwhelming, and persevering in the face of failure. Yet these struggles are precisely what make life meaningful. Without challenge, there is no growth. Without risk, there is no reward. Without suffering, there is no insight. Each trial you endure, each obstacle you overcome, and each fear you face adds depth, wisdom, and strength to your life. Ultimately, seeking meaning is a conscious choice. It is choosing the path that demands courage over comfort, responsibility over avoidance, and growth over stagnation. Life is not meant to be easy. It is meant to be faced, challenged, and mastered. By embracing meaning, you transform existence from a series of trivial pursuits into a life of profound purpose, direction, and fulfillment. The world will continue to challenge you, but when you anchor yourself in meaning, chaos becomes a teacher, struggle becomes a guide, and life, no matter how difficult, becomes a journey worth undertaking. Every truth you embrace has consequences. Every choice you make sends ripples outward, touching the lives of others in ways you may never fully see. Most people live as though their actions are contained entirely within themselves, as though the chaos, the failures, and the victories of life affect only their personal sphere. But the reality is that human life is interconnected. By transforming yourself, by taking responsibility, by facing chaos, and by seeking meaning, you change not only your own life, but the world around you. The small acts of courage and discipline you take every day influence your family, your friends, your colleagues, and even strangers you may never meet. Transformation is contagious because it carries a message. Life can be met with integrity, wisdom, and purpose, and the choice to do so is yours alone. To transform yourself is not to become perfect, it is to become capable. It is to develop the mental, emotional, and moral strength necessary to stand in the face of life's uncertainties without crumbling. It is to cultivate habits, values, and principles that anchor you when everything else seems unstable. When you align your actions with truth, discipline, and meaning, you create a life that others can trust and respect. This is how leadership is born, not through titles or positions, but through the quiet, consistent example of someone who refuses to compromise on what is right, even when it is difficult. The act of transformation requires persistence and courage because the world resists change. It is easy to fall back into old patterns, to seek comfort, or to be swayed by fear. Yet the person who embraces truth, who meets chaos with clarity, and who seeks meaning deliberately shapes their character and, ultimately, their destiny. Every decision to act with integrity and courage builds momentum, shaping not only who you are, but the environment in which you live. In doing so, you create a ripple effect. Others observe, consciously or unconsciously, and are inspired to act with responsibility and purpose themselves. By changing yourself, you provide a model for those around you, a beacon in the often dark and uncertain world. It is vital to understand that this is a call to control the world or dictate the lives of others. Transformation begins with you. It begins with the small, consistent choices you make to confront chaos, to face fear, to act responsibly, and to pursue meaning. From that foundation, your life becomes an instrument through which positive change radiates outward. You cannot change everything, but you can change yourself. And in changing yourself, you contribute to the world in ways that are profound, enduring, and far-reaching. Ultimately, the act of self-transformation is the highest form of responsibility. It is the recognition that life will never be perfectly fair, that suffering is inevitable, and that chaos will always be present, but also that within your own courage, discipline, and integrity lies the power to stand strong, create meaning, and illuminate the world for others. By changing yourself, you transform the world. Life is not simple, and it will not bend to your desires or comfort. Yet, within the chaos, the uncertainty, and the struggles lies the possibility of transformation. Every truth you confront, every responsibility you embrace, and every small, deliberate action you take builds the foundation of a meaningful life. You cannot control the world, nor can you eliminate suffering, but you can control your response. By facing reality head-on, you gain clarity. By taking ownership of your choices, you gain power. By embracing discipline and courage, you discover resilience. And by pursuing meaning, you uncover purpose. Each of these truths compounds, gradually shaping not just who you are, but the life you lead, the legacy you leave, and the world you influence. Transformation begins with small, consistent actions that over time accumulate into profound change. Standing up straight, speaking honestly, cleaning your environment, and confronting the chaos within may seem minor, yet these choices are the building blocks of character. Life does not reward convenience or avoidance, it rewards courage, persistence, and responsibility. By making these small choices consistently, you shape not only your own destiny, but also the environment around you. Every act of integrity and every choice to face fear becomes a ripple that spreads beyond yourself, touching the lives of others and inspiring change in ways you may never fully realize. The journey to meaning is not without struggle. Comfort is fleeting, happiness is temporary, and the world will continue to challenge you in ways you cannot predict. But struggle, when embraced with discipline and purpose, becomes the very medium through which life attains significance. By facing your fears, enduring hardship, and holding yourself accountable, you turn chaos into a teacher, setbacks into lessons, and challenges into stepping stones. Meaning is not found in avoiding difficulty. It is forged in the crucible of responsibility, courage, and relentless self-improvement. Those who seek it willingly confront the parts of life that others ignore, and in doing so, they rise above mediocrity to live fully, deeply, and impactfully. Ultimately, the most profound change begins with yourself. By transforming your habits, your mindset, and your actions, you gain mastery over the only life you can truly control. The chaos around you may persist, but you become someone capable of navigating it with purpose, clarity, and courage. Your life becomes a beacon of integrity and inspiration, not because the world changes, but because you have changed. And through this personal transformation, you contribute to the world in meaningful, enduring ways, proving that courage, discipline, and truth are not just abstract ideals. They are the keys to a life that matters. Thank you so much for watching and taking the time to invest in your growth today. Your willingness to confront life's truths, face challenges, and pursue meaning is what sets you apart. If this video inspired you, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with someone who needs this message. Your support helps us create more content that empowers, motivates, and transforms lives. Remember, real change begins with you. Stand tall, act courageously, and embrace the truths that others shy away from. Every small step you take today compounds into a powerful tomorrow. Thank you again for watching, and until next time, stay disciplined, stay courageous, and keep seeking meaning. Goodbye and take care.